Battle of the Challengers podcast with Vincent Cloud.
And Famous Dave.
And this is War of the Worlds, episode 15, the final, part 1, Death Race.
The final is here for War of the Worlds. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
War to end all wars, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Great War.
It's the Great War. And this is mostly like the Olympics, because, like, people here are, I wish they had the flags,
Oh yeah, we like really make it War of the World.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's representing their country.
We got Turbo representing Turkey.
Yep.
Theo representing
United Kingdom.
Yeah. What flag is that? Do you know that flag?
It's like the Union Jack thing.
It's a Union Jack.
I don't know. That's what they call it. It's
that.
like the cross. It's like blue. It has like white line cross stars. I don't know.
But then we have like 3 Americans.
You got Wes, Kara, Ninja,
Yeah.
Maddie.
Yeah, Maddie.
Georgia is
Maddie's
UK.
got the Confederate flag. She's from the South.
Oh, yeah.
So is Hunter.
That's true.
They got Confederate flags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the UK flag and the Confederate flag are eerily similar.
That's very true. Okay, well, anyways, but spoilers, I mean, we already know how it ends. We actually watched the last episode of all time. So this, to me, it's kind of weird going back.
So this is part 1 of the final we're doing right now,
Yeah.
the first half, and then part 2, we'll have the second half.
Yeah. So let's get back into, it's going to be hard not to just jump forward and say, see, now this fucked you over in the end, shit like that. So it's going to be hard. But let's start at the very beginning. The very first scene that I remember writing down was Turbo Trains. It's just him. He's like center screen. He's got a plate full of food, like a pile of food. He's cracking open this juice, I guess. He doesn't drink alcohol, right?
I don't think so. I haven't seen it. It's probably against his religion.
Right. Yeah. And
they've never, like, I'm assuming he's Muslim because he reminds me of, like, Habib from the UFC.
Yeah, yeah.
He's from Turkey. I don't know. I'm kind of just, like, imposing a religion on him from where he's from. That's probably not right. But, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he drinks alcohol.
But he's there and he's training. He eats all this food, then runs on the treadmill to train for the final. Spoiler alert, in episode 2, or not episode 2, but part 2 of the final, we do finally come in to an eating challenge, but the great irony is he chooses not to eat and actually make everyone else eat while he runs dehydrated and hungry, hangry, as they say. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It pays off. It subverted our expectations, Dave.
It did. I don't even remember that from the beginning of that first episode.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, but I think before like a long marathon, you gotta carbo load. You gotta eat a lot of carbs. Your body's gonna be burning a lot of energy.
Very true.
You don't want to end up like Georgia, perhaps. And run out of gas.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the South again. How it lost the great.
Oh, no, Georgia.
Civil War.
Not the state, but the challenger.
All right, next I have Wes talking to Theo and Georgia. He's like, are you guys scared? And they're like, no, we're psyched, bro. And he's like, why aren't you scared? I mean, if you do bad on these things, you could be haunted for a decade. And Theo's like, is that what happened to you, Wes? He's like, yeah. And he's, of course, referencing Rivals 1, where he had to be carried and shit, right?
By Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Wes kind of trying to plant seeds of doubt, like, you sure you got what it takes? Because Wes is a veteran. He's been in a final before, as is Cara Maria. But that's it. Those are the only 2 vets. Hunter. Yeah, Hunter as well. Mm-hmm. They're the only vets. So there's 3 vets and 5 rookies.
Yeah. Not only are they vets, but those 3 vets are 3 champions.
Yeah.
So I think Theo was like, oh, you're trying to maybe get in my head, something like that. I don't remember. But Wes is like, I'm just saying, like, he's like, I feel like you're underestimating me. And Wes is like, no, I think you're going to get a solid 4th place.
Who do you say that to?
Theo.
Oh.
Let's cut to the end. Or no, is that jumping too forward? Let's just say Wes is going to eat his words in a sense, right?
Yeah.
A sandwich of words.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich of words.
There we go. So next I have, oh shit, TJ shows up in a helicopter outside the house, and Ninja is. I'll say this about Ninja: she's excitable. She's kind of like Tori. Remember how Tori would do these big expressions to show that she's happy or she's psyched. You know what I mean? Ninja has these moments, but unfortunately, she repeats them, and then it kind of loses whatever. I remember
she like once, big childish like kind of expressions, and it gets annoying to me.
She bowed out of like elimination, the court, the tribunal thing, right? I was like, I like that bowing thing. But then she bowed like 2 other times during the season. I'm like, oh no, don't do it. And then I remember she jumps on the table, the kitchen table, and does a little dance. I'm like, I like that. Then she does it again later in the season. So I'm like, you one and done, you know, just in and out, right? Get out while it's hot. Anyways, TJ shows up in a helicopter, right? And they're like, oh, the final starts. And then rolls in this giant tetanus shot on wheels. The pain locker, right?
Yeah, a big rust-covered giant U-Haul truck.
Yeah. Why not just go with the the Hurt Locker, the movie, right? Why not? Just go with that. The pain locker. First of all, there wasn't a lot of pain, right? If you were in there,
was. If this challenge, they were in pain.
Yes, but not from the truck. If anything, you went there to recover.
Yeah.
Hence, the Hurt Locker. You're hurt, right? That makes sense.
I know, but that's trademarked already, so they needed to go with pain. Because they're in pain and they're locked up.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner's like, no. Oh, okay, give me $10,000 you could use it. They're like, you didn't even, you had nothing to do with it. You were an actor, Jeremy Renner. Don't you got that Avengers money, man? It ran out. Invested it all in Tag. Do you remember that movie, Tag?
No, not at all.
Nobody does.
I don't remember any Jeremy Renner movie.
Okay, so anyways, the nice little twist of like, oh, everyone thinks they're going to get a helicopter. No, in comes the Hurt Locker. And it's like, that was so lame. What a waste of money to fly TJ in. You know, you could have just had him say, like, now it's time for the final. In your glitzy, glamoury, whatever, and maybe have a curtain over it. You take it off, and it's not glamoury. It's the rusty old bucket of bolts, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, this season they constantly are trying. They do this with other seasons. They're always trying to show a big dramatic shot of something epic looking, just because it'll look sweet on the trailer. You know?
Yeah.
And this season has lots of that, you know. Lots of, you know, just those cool oohs and ahs. And I appreciate that. Like, I'm not going to dog on it. I like the fact that there's a chopper and you're like, oh shit, that's awesome.
I would have tried to cut that out. If I was in charge of the budget, I'd be like, we don't need that. we don't need TJ in a helicopter.
All right, let's get to the final.
Right. Anyways, he shows up and he's like, hey, guess what? This is the first, we're going to have a first solo winner again. And I think Carl was like, I got to prove it wasn't a fluke and stuff like that. And he's like, okay, this is the death path. It's 50 miles long, which is absurd.
Yeah,
right?
It's insane. That's like 2 marathons.
Yeah.
The marathon is 26 miles. This is 50, so it's basically.
Yeah, it's so fucking fucked up. And then he's like, okay, but it's actually in 2 parts. This first one, it's a 24-mile loop. It's what do you call it?
A figure 8.
Figure 8, infinity symbol.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of like challenges in the middle, like puzzles and stuff to do, and then you have to circle it. How many times? I don't even remember. 5 laps, I think. 4 laps.
4 laps and 5 checkpoints total.
Yeah,
and then they'll cut the time right away. I mean, you know, I don't like the whole we'll add up all your time. I don't want that. I want a clear cut race to the finish line. Sort of thing, but whatever, you know, we got to get used to it. Whatever. Again, this is going back on the promise of the first 75% of the show, where it was like back to the basics. You know, the structure was there, the eliminations, like there wasn't all these bullshit twists. Now they're like, we're going back, you know, cliffhangers, all that shit, and we're gonna have a timed final. You know, it's kind of shitty. Right?
Yeah, I would definitely just prefer it just be an all-out race, and we just see the person cross the finish line, and we know who won because they crossed the finish line. Mm-hmm. Rather than you cross the finish line, but it's like, well, Theo crossed the finish line first, but it's like, now we're going to add up the times, And oh yeah, it wasn't you, even though you crossed the finish line first. It was Turbo.
Yeah.
Like and they do this every season now, and it's very anticlimactic.
I totally agree. So they start off, right? They're gonna run the figure eight and shit, right?
Yeah, all
They
8
start
of
off
them.
with a song. Do you remember this song?
No.
It's called "Let's Go to War." This was
Yeah.
used in UFC a couple times, maybe the WWE.
Yep.
That song.
Yep.
I've
That's what it
never
reminded
liked
me
it.
of.
I've never liked it. That is
It's
that
been
song.
it's been overplayed.
Yeah.
I don't care for that song.
Maybe if it wasn't used up in those two other arenas, maybe it would have been more effective here. But still, though, I don't like that song. It's so weird. It always bothered me. I'm like, why is all these promotions using this song? You know?
I think it's because whoever writes that song is just selling it for cheap.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I never thought.
This
of
is
that.
MTV. I mean, come on. You got to get good songs only. Come on.
They do have some Linkin Park later.
Yeah, I know. I appreciated that. They kind of redeemed themselves there when they played Linkin Park in the second part.
More of their B-sides and stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that was a great song.
No, yeah. I mean, I was a huge Linkin Park fan. You know, is. Well, R.I.P. Chester is all I'm gonna say, right? With you took the band itself. No? Okay, anyways,
Yeah,
we're starting.
They're done.
Now I wrote all these down, all these notes live. Like
Okay.
maybe the first time I saw it, something like that. So Theo passes. Oh my God! See, this is where it's all going to be crazy. But basically, I'll just say this: Theo passes by Wes, and Wes is trying to keep track with Theo. Theo is Olympian. What did he do in the Olympics?
He was a sprinter.
He was a sprinter.
Yeah, so
Okay.
short distance runner.
But he could do this fucking marathon shit. So
Yeah,
perfectly
usually
fine.
sprinters aren't endurance marathon runners.
Yeah, what
but-
did Maddie say? This is a marathon, not a race.
Yeah, like a race is a marathon. A marathon is a race.
And then she's like, "But what's Theo?" No, that is his race. He is a different. Oh God, whatever, Maddie. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like,
Just because she's
Maddie's
from
like, "I
the
don't
South, you're
understand."
just
Yeah.
putting. Oh my god!
I gotta stop
Come
making
on,
those jokes. It's too easy. They're just too easy, right?
the layups.
Yeah, like
Too easy.
Okay, I have this written down. Georgia tries to keep up with Wes. Remember, Wes saved Kara's ass by telling the other ladies in the tribunal that Georgia has great stamina. And Polly also agreed, right?
Yeah,
So I remember before we recorded, you were just like, "Oh, Georgia didn't have the stamina."
yeah,
I want to say she did, but she burns out really quickly. Spoiler, she's going to DQ really soon. But I think it's because she kept up with Wes and Theo. You didn't have to. I appreciate it. That was awesome. But you're in the fucking desert where everyone eventually is going to break, you know?
yeah, and that's kind of where experience kind of comes in there, where you need to be able to pace yourself and go at a pace. And we could see that with Wes throughout this entire final. Wes would pace himself so he could be able to make it to the end. Always thinking like, okay, he's not a super fast runner. He's not going to be able to get in first place. But as long as I don't burn myself out and get too tired, I will make up the time later. I just need to complete this and just kind of putt along and get there. But, Georgia with inexperience, she just goes for it all immediately from the get-go. And, it was too much, and you just can't go all out like that.
Yeah, she was delirious. They do get to the bike portion, and they take off. Kara's actually the last person to get to the bike. I was like, "Oh, Kara," because I have a thing, not for her, but
Against her?
Not even against her. Wait, I'll rub up against her. Gross. In a crowded subway train. Wow. All right. So, anyways, now this is the part on the bikes is when fucking Georgia falls down. She collapses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone passes her eventually. She's delirious. The medic is called in, and she's asking for someone. Dave, who is she asking for in her the death throes?
Lions, tigers, and bears. Bear.
I thought you should have said Leon's tigers and bears.
Oh yes, Leon's tigers and bears.
Which, okay, so I kind of liked Georgia. I wasn't rooting for her. She was never my favorite, really. But if there was ever a time, it's like, wow, you push yourself to the absolute limit. But she's just like, where's Bear?
Well, that was the thing with Georgia is anytime Bear was around, Georgia was awful. And then anytime Bear wasn't around, Georgia was great. And this goes for a lot of competitors. It goes for Kara and Kyle and Polly and that whole thing. Like Polly's great when Kara and Kyle aren't around. I like Polly. But then when those two are around, Polly's horrible. And the same thing goes for Georgia. When Bear is around, it's like her kryptonite. She's madly in love with this crazy person.
But he's not there, though.
Yeah, he's not even there.
Maybe because she's at her weakest point. She's like, usually Bear's on top of me. Where's he now? You know what I mean? I feel so vulnerable here.
Yeah.
There's Bear.
When Georgia gets DQ'd, that wasn't a huge surprise to me because I'm like, looking at the length of this, they're out in the hot desert, in the sand. It's like, looks brutal. And then when they're on the bikes, they got the fat tire bikes, which are more designed to go through the sand. However, it's still that's a huge struggle. That's way more difficult than going just on a street bike or a mountain bike going over hard terrain. The sand is just brutal to get through.
Yeah, and I also wrote this down, and I skipped it when I was saying it. But Georgia was riding the bike, right?
Yeah.
Then she eventually falls off of it. Turbo and Hunter weren't riding their bikes. They were walking
next to it. Yeah. They were using that time. They were conserving themselves. They were walking next to their bikes, just keeping their energy because it was so difficult to pedal those bikes.
Yeah. So it's just like, now I like Georgia because she wasn't half-assing it at all. She was going for that win, But yeah, burned too brightly too early. And
yeah, let's get done with Georgia. She's old news.
Bad.
Enough.
Oh, my Teddy. Okay, so I don't know what else to say when they get to the checkpoints. I mean, people will try them and some people won't.
Yeah, because you can do like 1 or 2 or more. You have to do 4 laps. You have to do 5 checkpoints. If you can't complete a checkpoint, then the time runs out, and you reach the max time, whatever that is. I don't know if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever the max amount of time is.
I want to say 20 for some reason.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is.
All I have written down is like, people are doing certain things. But by the time Maddie and Kara get to the checkpoints, they're all being used. So they're like, fuck it, we're just going to run another lap. And then Wes times out. In fact, Wes times out a lot of these ones.
Yeah. And that seemed like a veteran thing where he's like, you know what, if I can't do it, that's fine. I'm just going to use this time to recuperate. Because this endurance, like, Wes doesn't have, like, the greatest endurance or speed as, like, a runner. So he's just like, okay, I'm going to conserve myself. I'm going to use this as a resting period.
Yeah. I don't know, looking back though, knowing what place he gets, he did do a lot of resting, but did he do perhaps too much resting?
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
I wish they would have said the times at the end. They never did that.
Well, they did at the end of this episode.
No, I'm saying.
At the very end.
At the very end, I would have really liked to know.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see here. Theo passes Kara and Maddie. They're like, "Hey, what happened to Georgia?" And Theo's like, "Who the fuck is? She's shy." Something like that. All of a sudden, I'll just say this: Theo emerges as a true contender. Like, he was kind of not necessarily in the background because he was winning with Kara, but it just wasn't about him overall. You knew that the win, was going to be towards Kyle. That shit. Yeah. Wes passes Hunter. Now Hunter is saying, "I'm hurting, bro." Eventually we're going to get to a point where like Hunter's just going to be completely broken. Hunter, Brand the Broken's cousin Hunter from South. Yeah.
Yeah, Hunter's never had good endurance, and watching him, you can tell like puzzles are his weakness, and also endurance is his number one foe. Like he can't go. He's super strong, but like that It's good in an elimination, but in a final, like Hunter's not really built for a final.
Very true. Let's see here. Theo says he's cramping like a bitch. If that's irrelevant, didn't have to mention it. But Wes did say that he's like, I want to have a little ginger baby with my wife and have him compete in the challenge season 92. I mean, this could be. Could you imagine that eventually when challenge children start showing up? They're like, I'm a legacy man.
Little CT baby,
yeah,
little baby CT,
yeah, CT
little baby Brad.
Yeah, baby Brad. Who else has kids?
Oh, Bananas. Why doesn't he have any kids?
He just doesn't know about them.
Oh, he just can't get laid.
Let's see here. Okay. So Turbo stops, falls down on the ground, or to pound his leg into submission, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
you can tell Turbo's cramping up. Like Turbo's giving it like 100%, and it's like, dude, we saw what happened to Georgia. Like we can see Wes is pacing himself. Turbo doesn't seem to be pacing himself at all, and he's just going balls to the wall. And I'm just thinking like, oh, this is not gonna end well. Like, dude, you need to relax. And he'd like fall down, and then he would just like get back up and just keep trucking. And it's like, dude,
crying, whimpering.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, "Sorry, my body, I cannot listen to you. You have to listen to me." I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, he could say anything, and it'll just seem relevant. Like,
yeah,
he knows what he's saying because he grew up in hard ass Turkey. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, yeah. You just assume
mean streets of Turkey.
Yeah, gobble gobble, bitches. Stupid. All right. Okay. So Wes has a great line again where he's like, "These people are ahead of me. And since they didn't do the checkpoints." Who knows where they are, but they're going to be a rabbit in a dog race. They're my pace.
Yeah.
I just like the line.
I like that. Yeah. I did. And it's a smart strategy, too.
Yeah. Let's see here. Hunter is locking up. Theo does tires. Oh, my God. Look at all this shit. Kara times out on the rampage. Theo's going to do I think he does every single one. No, maybe he does like 4 of the 5 checkpoints.
He did really well. He used that stick to get the ball all the way up the ramp. The tire thing, throwing the rings around those, the stake with the poles coming off it.
Yeah. Okay. So Ninja, she says she's doing fine. All of a sudden, she just blacks out, falls down to the ground.
This is like the first time we've mentioned Ninja.
Yeah, they bring in the meds, or she gets into the thing, and 5 minutes later, they're like, "Well, all your vitals are fine and shit." And she's like, "Oh. Okay." And she literally just perks right back up to be the same annoying ninja.
Yeah.
That can-do attitude where you're kind of borderline Sarah Rice. You know what I mean? Too enthusiastic for shit sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Remember when Sarah was like, "Oh my god, I love this. I teach children, hence I treat the world as such,"
Yeah. Wow, that's a good analogy. I like that. Okay, so what was up with this? Georgia, she can't go anymore. She falls off the bike. She lays there. We get this big cinematic shot of her just laying in the desert. Yeah. No one helping her. And we just see her laying there for like ever. And then they finally come and help her. Ninja falls off. They immediately just rush to her, get her in there and like helping her out, get her back on her feet. And then like, okay, you're fine. Get back out there. It was like, it seemed like Georgia didn't get the medical help like immediately like Ninja did. Maybe that's just editing, but it seemed different to me. Like with Ninja, they're like immediately like, okay, we're gonna help you out. Okay, you're fine if you want to go.
It's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe something I noticed. It might have just been editing though.
Maybe they didn't want to treat it so dramatic because she's gonna be perfectly fine in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And from then on, she'll be the same. Like I said.
Yeah. It was like a weird blip for Ninja because it seemed like it was all over and she couldn't do it. It's like, yep. I was like, wow. I'm like, I can't believe Ninja's falling out before Maddie. But then Ninja says, oh, okay. My vitals are fine. I guess I just needed to rest for 5 minutes, and then now I'm fine.
All I have written down next is a bunch of people timing out on the pyramid. No one could do that pyramid thing. No one did.
Yeah, it was like a Sudoku thing with the colored blocks and like blocks of 4 or 3. You couldn't repeat like the same color in each row or column. And like a lot of people, it's like Wes, he kind of sat there and he's like, I'm just gonna wait it out. and rest because like doing these laps are so exhausting. He's like, I'm just gonna keep waiting it out.
Um, Next I have okay. So this is where Maddie's walking, and she's like, "I'm done." You know.
Yeah.
She sits down. There's not. It's not dramatic at all.
Did she hug Kara or she hugged somebody? It was a Hunter, Ninja.
I think it was Ninja.
Yeah, she just hugged her. She's like, I'm done here. I can't go anymore.
Yeah.
And it sucks. I like Maddie.
Yeah.
I know you don't like her because she's from the South or something. You don't like those people?
No, they're just.
I love Maddie. Maddie was probably my favorite new girl this season.
Yeah.
I would say.
Remember how badass she was when she was taking on 2 chicks at a time in the elimination? In the elimination.
Oh.
Don't give me that look. They gave me this look like, you've been looking into my laptop. That's my personal folder. Don't go into there. But TJ comes in. He's like, hey, you're cool and all, but you got to stop with the cigarettes. Stop being a fucking idiot.
I know. They turned it into a non-smoking little promo there from TJ. You know, TJ's done this before with his anti-bullying campaign against Amanda or whoever was being a bully. And then now he's doing a non-smoking campaign against Maddie. And it was like, I don't even remember her smoking 1 cigarette all season. But okay, I guess she's a cigarette smoker.
He is right, though, because didn't CT lose a final? Battle of the X's won over cigarettes in a way.
Yeah, but that was high altitude in the mountains, so I wouldn't blame it all on cigarettes.
He was high up in the glacier, the icebergs,
like
right?
in Iceland or some shit.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
Sorry, Maddie. I mean, it sucks for Maddie. I liked her a lot. She was great. Yeah, she doesn't have endurance.
It's just also showing how hardcore this is, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like you can tell as you're watching, you're just like, wow, this is brutal. I don't think I could do it myself. I know I couldn't do that myself. Like I've done 3 Tough Mudders, and the amount of training you have to put in to be able to do it is a lot. And to be able to do it in the desert, in that heat, is like next level.
How many miles is that? Do you remember?
A Tough Mudder?
Yeah.
They range between 10.5 miles and like 12.5 miles.
Right.
It depends on where you are, because every course is different, because they move it to different locations.
Mm-hmm.
But it averages around 11 miles. But there's obstacles in the way as well.
Yeah.
And this was that figure 8. Was it 8 miles to do the figure 8, or was it 4? They had to do 4. I think it was like 24 miles total, right? I think it was like 4 laps of 8 miles.
Wouldn't it be 6? 6, 8.
Oh yeah, 6 miles. Yeah, 4 laps. Yeah. Oh my god. So exactly, I wouldn't be able to get my kayak free because 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 8 would be 32. So I wouldn't be able to get to my kayak because I can't do math.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how you would do later on in the final in day 2. But let's talk about the end of day 1, when everyone's starting to time out either by crossing the finish line or just timing out on their tools or stuff.
Their tools?
On their, the obstacle parts.
Okay.
And I just remember this. I think Theo's first, Wes is second, Turbo's third. But I remember Turbo walks up and he's like, "Is it done? They announced winner now?" Theo's like, "No, man, we got like a whole other day of this." And it was just very endearing. Like Turbo is like this machine, right? But he's very human. He's very kind-hearted, and
he's emotional. He's
emotional.
Yeah, like he'll cry, he'll get upset when people are mean to him, like. But at the same time, he's like, I'll never quit. I'll never give up. Like, he's like a weird superhero that has all these superpowers, but he's still human and has all these emotions.
Okay, so while so while they're hanging out, Theo, Wes, and Turbo, there's these logs. They're pretty tall logs, maybe 2 feet tall, 3 feet tall, or whatever, and they're right in front of the challenge sign. So Theo and Wes were standing on those logs, right? While Turbo was talking to them. And in the middle of the conversation between Theo and Turbo, Wes just collapsed onto the floor. He fell off that long, tall log, right? And they were like, "Do you need a medic or anything?" He's like, "No, I'm good." You know, it was just some random fall. But turns out later on, they're just going to be sitting on that thing. Producers didn't say you have to, you know, you don't have to stand on those. You could just sit on those things.
Yeah,
you know?
and a lot of other challenge finals, they've always had those logs and you have to stand on them. But they weren't instructed to, so I don't know why they would.
Who knows?
I don't know. I really thought it was just there for like the photo op of like the people who finished first.
It kind of makes sense though because they're assuming, you know, day 2 is just ahead. They're probably going to have to stand on these logs all night. I'm guessing that was their assumption. Yeah. So while this is going off, Ninja comes in at 4th, which I was very proud of her because she finishes she crosses the line and she's about to cry. She's about to fall down too, and she's like, "I could have gave up back there. Like I was so close." And she is also in pain. Everyone's in pain.
Yeah.
This sucks. I never like these giant 2-day finals because the people are torn apart by day 1. You know?
Yeah, it's so physically grueling.
So finally, we have Kara having to fill up past the pyramid thing, and Hunter has to wait for her. That's the last checkpoint he needed. So he has no choice but to wait for Kara. That sucks, man.
Yeah.
That sucks. And I do like Hunter's. He's like, "Oh, Sudoku. How do you pronounce it?
Sudoku.
He's like, "Oh, Sudoku, my old friend. We meet again." Because he's like, I don't do well in puzzles.
Yeah.
And I have problems with math, and I have problems with, I mean, the Sudoku thing. I just don't think I could do it. So I felt him, man. Yeah.
I've said that I don't like Sudoku. I've done Sudoku. I understand it. Like I can do a Sudoku puzzle on easy. You know, I'm not going to do it super fast, but I can figure it out.
You can set the difficulties? How do you do that?
Oh, yeah, on the app on my phone, you know, easy, normal, hard, expert. Don't go to expert. It's impossible.
All right.
You got to be like Stephen Hawking to beat that. But on easy, like I understand the premise. I know what to look for in each column, like how to do the kind of the math equations, how to process of elimination. If you're going to put something here, you have to look at all the other rows to make sure it doesn't conflict in other places. You can narrow down certain spots and be like, okay, a 3 can go here, here, or here. You kind of narrow it down to where something can go. Sometimes you have to move on to the next number, figure a different one out to make it easier.
Wow, that just sounds so difficult.
Vince, give me your phone. I will download the app. We'll get you playing Sudoku tonight. You're gonna love it.
So TJ shows up. It's now nighttime. Everyone is sitting on those stools, not standing on top of them, you know?
Yeah, they're all like basically dead from like this 24-mile just brutality they just went through in the desert.
TJ calls them up. Now they got to sit on that little set, the set. You know, they always have them stand there or whatever. But they're all hobbling and just in pain and groaning and like they're half dead. And just to take a step up there, you know, hurts them. And so now he's like, okay, so we're gonna have a tribunal in the middle of a fucking final. First, second, and third people are Theo, Wes, and Turbo. So we're gonna have an elimination in the middle of this fucking final. Why give the people in the top 3 even more power to stay in that top 3? Because don't they stay in that top 3 for the tomorrow in day 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane how much of an advantage this is. You know? It's crazy.
I don't know. I don't think it really mattered much because when I looked at the 3 people in first, second, and third, Wes, Turbo, and Theo, I'm like, these are the best 3 people there. And then when I looked at Kara, Ninja, and Hunter, I'm like, these 3 I don't have as much confidence in. So I'm like, I didn't feel like they had a chance to win anyways. And they broke down their times. They were way further behind. Like it was basically like Turbo and Theo had good times. Everybody else was very far behind.
I actually have all the times written down.
Yeah, what were they?
Theo in first has 5 hours and 34 minutes. 10 minutes ahead of Wes, who's at 5 hours and 44 minutes.
What was
Then
Turbo's?
then 14 minutes behind him was Turbo with 5 hours and 58 minutes.
Turbo was in third?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking he was second or first.
And then 37 minutes past Turbo was Ninja with 6 hours and 35 minutes. 7 minutes behind her was Kara. So Kara's 7 minutes behind Ninja. And 20 minutes behind her was Hunter, because Hunter, a lot of things added up to it, but yeah, I just felt like it's so unnecessary. Is it a twist? Oh yeah, whatever. But it doesn't belong in a final. An elimination in the middle of a final? That's crazy. That's stupid.
Yeah. So between Turbo in third place and Ninja's 37 minutes. So from the top three, from number 3 to number 4, the cutoff from the tribunal to being in elimination is 37 minutes. That's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Huge
And now they're
advantage.
even more power now. They could eliminate anyone. It's overkill.
Yeah. I agree with that. But to me, it's like it's War of the Worlds. It's the toughest final ever. We're going to eliminate someone from the final. So I was cool with that. My problem was with the elimination itself.
We're not. Yeah. We'll get there though. But that's day 2. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So next we have TJ's like, hey, get back into the pain locker. We're gonna hook you up with IV bags to replenish you. Yeah. This is where Kara freaks out. What do you got to say about this? Doesn't she freak out every time? Doesn't she cry? Doesn't she break down every final? Right.
A lot of times, and she always kind of needs some emotional support.
Yeah.
But what we just witnessed them go through is like the most physically demanding final like we've really ever seen, or it's at least in the top 3. And the fact that they gave them Camelback, so they've been able to drink water the entire time to stay hydrated. They're still like, you're sweating so much out there that your body is so depleted, and they're like, hey, if this was real life, you would go to a hospital. And they're going to be like, we're going to hook up an IV and we're going to give you fluids. You know?
Do you think she would have acted that way too? She's like, no, don't. Oh my God. And then she'd look at a fellow patient in the same room. She's like, hey, can you cover that up for me? I don't want to look at your bandage.
She starts spazzing out over the needles and how much she hates needles. And she's so scared of them. And it's like, yeah, I get it. You're scared of them and you don't like them. That's fine. A lot of people don't like needles. However, this is a necessity. Like, you need this. Your body needs this. Even Turbo said it. He's like, I know my body needs this after what I've just been through.
He actually says, without gasoline, the car cannot go.
Yes. If I was Turkish, I would have said it that way. But it sounds way more badass.
It does. It totally does.
And she's spazzing out, and it's frustrating because, like, nobody there likes needles. Like, Theo, Ninja, but they're like, yeah, like, they know that they cannot move on, and this is for $750,000. $750,000 is on the line, and it's like all it is one poke with a needle. That's it. It's just a small needle. It's not a big needle. Like when I went through college, how I would make spare money, I would donate plasma. That's where they start an IV and they draw out your blood into a big ass bag. They take out all the plasma out of your blood, and then they pump the red blood cells back in. So you get they stick in a big needle. That's like a 14 gauge needle, which is very large. They were probably only putting in like a 20 gauge needle in these people, which is a lot smaller. It barely hurts. It's just like a little poke. And out of anything that you can get poked with, a needle is probably the thing you would want. Like, you don't want to get poked with a sword. That would suck. You don't want to get, out of anything in the world you get poked with, a needle is literally the smallest thing you get poked with.
Speaking of swords, doesn't Cara Maria have a tattoo of a sword on her arm?
On her right forearm, she does. Cara has piercings. She has a tattoo on her arm.
Yeah.
This all involves needles, and those are a lot more painful, and a tattoo is very long.
And I heard, allegedly, that her friends called her Mother Superior over her long heroin. No, that's a reference to the heroin movie, Trainspotting.
Oh, that's the heroin movie?
Remember their dealer was called Mother Superior?
No.
The length of his, No?
No.
Remember that?
I just knew that song from the Beatles.
Oh, well,
Mother Superior jumped the gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was frustrating to me. I don't. Maybe it's because I work in the medical field, And I'm just like, it's just a needle. It doesn't hurt that bad. And I know that it sucks and you don't like it, but sometimes in life, like, what is life about? Life, for the majority of it, like 80 or 90% of life, is doing shit you don't want to do. Right? I hate to be the. I'm always called the downer and the glass half empty, kind of person. But it's like you do a lot of shit you don't want to do. In a final, you don't want to do any of this stuff, but you do it in order to reach that goal at the end. And Kara's just like, nope, I don't want to do it. And the thing that was super frustrating is everybody else just does it like with no resistance. They're like, absolutely. I feel so terrible. But it's like, no, you're not going to take an IV, and you're just going to spend a night where you get no food, nothing. You're just going to starve yourself.
Ninja, who's taking the needle, taking the syringe, she's like, I had a lot of respect for Kara before this, but now, and this is just the beginning of their little back and forth. Like they hate
I
each
know,
other,
there was never
fighting
any
outside.
rivalry between Ninja and Kara until this final happened, unless I'm forgetting it.
I don't think they ever had a scene together, really, Okay, so finally, oh, no, I do have to say this. Okay, so the reason why I brought up the tattoo is you actually brought it up before we recorded. You were just like, I bet she has tattoos. And I was like, I don't think so. Sure she does. The other thing online, I guess, on Twitter, they were like, so you are terrified of needles. So you had your fill of vaccinations to enter another country, right? Isn't that a good point too? Or did she say like no vaccinations? I don't want to become.
I don't know that you. I don't know that you necessarily have to be vaccinated to go to other countries.
I think you do. I mean, I'm saying the challenge probably had insurance with like you have to get shots for this because we're going, you know what I mean?
Okay. So,
Or did she freak
when
out
you
there
go
too?
to when you go to a hospital, you go to the emergency room. When you check in, every time they always ask you, "Have you ever left the country recently? Have you ever been exposed to anyone who has left the country recently?" Because you go overseas, you can get Ebola, swine flu,
Ebola,
like bird flu. Ebola. It makes you bleed out of your eyeballs. It's the most horrifying disease ever.
Oh, and
yeah. So
you
like,
use the bowl to capture the blood? Is that
no?
Where's the bowl come into this?
It's the name of it.
Oh. I thought maybe it was like an electronic bowl.
Do you think Kara is anti-vaccination? She's one of those people.
Oh, she totally is, and she's a flat earther.
Oh my god, I knew it.
She's
flat earther, I would have guessed.
That explains her love of pirates and to look like one, because she's like, we all saw at World's End with Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp. We all saw that, right?
I did not.
You didn't?
No.
God damn it.
I saw the first one and I was like, these pirate movies are shit.
No.
I hated Pirates of the Caribbean. I checked out.
The first one was good.
I know, but then I saw like Batman Begins, and I'm like, these movies are way better. I'm like,
they're not even the same genre.
I know, but well, they were big box office movies in a similar time frame, and I'm like, Batman movies are way better than pirate movies.
Okay, so we're at the very end where this sucks because they brought the tribunal courthouse or whatever. What would you call it? The set.
Yeah, the pedestal or the it's. I don't know what to call it.
But these guys are in such pain that they now have to climb up this giant
their legs are just broken at this point. They're cramping. Their muscles are dead.
So, and then we have a to be continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to call someone out in the next episode.
Yes.
And send them into elimination.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And so this is the end of the part one of the final, and it was epically brutal.
Yeah.
That's what I took away from it. It was... my one big takeaway, my regret for this episode, was the fact that Paulie didn't show up to take part in it. Because I really would have liked to seen Paulie compete in this, because I think he would have done well. I think he would have done pretty good. Maybe, it could have been more interesting. Maybe Paulie would be in the top 3. Who knows? But Paulie, his fingers got cold and he couldn't hold on to the rope netting. And he kind of crapped the bed on that last purge.
Yeah.
Cold
hands and who knows, maybe cold feet. Maybe he threw it. He's like, this final is too big.
Cars going to the final? I don't want to be there. I'm done. Moving on.
Yeah. I never thought about it, but okay, I assume he just lost because he just lost the purge, right? But assume he was going to go in there. He's like, you know what? I am so super competitive. and so was my goddamn girlfriend.
He didn't want to lose to his girlfriend in the finals,
Yeah.
so he took a dive.
Yeah. Or maybe she was
Whoa.
like, wouldn't it be great if, like, I beat you and you got a blowjob for that fact? And he's like, I guess.
What?
You know what I mean?
Kara said that in that episode. She's like, I really wanted to do this final with Paulie, and I really wanted to beat him in the final.
Yeah,
She
that's
did
right.
say that.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's
Maybe
sleeping on
Paulie
the
was a little
couch.
afraid he wouldn't be able to beat Kara.
Or that she wasn't going to let him. She was going to say, like, listen, you
Oh.
fucking throw this and let me win, motherfucker. Like, I have all these women behind me and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess maybe.
All right, well, anyways,
Doubtful.
Let's
All right.
stop this, head to the second part.